Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. So we had a medium to long Board of Selectmen's meeting last night, and we covered a lot of things. And the board, I thought, had some really good discussion last night. Sometimes the discussion is ho-hum because the matters are routine, but last night they really got down to business. So here's what we talked about. We had a public hearing on the fiscal 15 general fund budget. We had already had a couple of meetings about the budget, so there weren't a lot of questions from the board. There were a couple. And they basically ended up voting to endorse the recommendations that have been made so far, and now the budget moves on to the Finance Committee, and they will start meeting on it next Monday, January 13th at 4 o'clock at the community room of 4 Fairgrounds Road. This week, the Finance Committee has been meeting on enterprise fund budgets for the next fiscal year. We also had a discussion about warrant articles. This is where things were lengthy, but good discussion for the 2014 annual town meeting. And one of the things that we got to talking about was, a couple of months ago, the board was discussing the possibility of non-binding ballot questions relating to municipal office space. So in other words, asking the voters where they think municipal offices should be located, downtown, out of town, both. And I came up with some suggestions for them about the type of question, but as I was developing the questions, I started to think, is this really are we really going to get the public opinion that we need on this subject without more specific information that we might not have yet? So they had some very good discussion about that, and we're still going to keep talking about it at next week's meeting. But that was basically, that took a little while. We also had a discussion, so back to the town meeting, which, by the way, is on Saturday, April, I should know this off the top of my head, 5th, Saturday, April 5th, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Nantucket High School auditorium. Last night, the board talked about the various warrant articles, and we're getting down to finalizing the warrant. They will be adopting it on January 22nd at their meeting, and then it goes to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee begins to develop their motions for the town meeting. So, we also discussed a proposal from the town clerk to move the elections from the school, where they are currently held and have been held, to the new VFW out off of Milestone Road on New South Road. And that generated some good discussion as well. And I think there are different schools of thought about such a move, including how far away it is. And it does epitomize really the sort of magnification that Nantucketers have about distances. So we were just saying that 1 mile on Nantucket is more like 10 or 20 miles off island. But we tend to travel in, depending on where we live, maybe mid-island is most year-round people, mid-ish, that sort of radius. And you don't necessarily travel around, so maybe you don't see that there's voting going on that day if you didn't remember, but if it's at the school, there it is. Most people will get, most people will get through there. But there were other issues, like parking is not great at the school. It would be better at the VFW. So the board was not prepared to take a vote on this last night. They're going to discuss it again at a future meeting, probably our February 5th meeting, because next week we have a workshop meeting. The week after, we're adopting the warrant and a whole bunch of other things that have been tabled from prior meetings. No meeting on the 29th of January because it's a 5th Wednesday, and the next meeting would be February 5th. So probably bring it back then. In other news, there was an event that was approved by the board that's come to the board a few times now. It's called the Nantucket Music Festival, and it will be taking place in Tom Nevers Field, the first weekend of August this coming summer. So,
do we know who's headlining now?
I still don't know who's headlining.
Oh my God!
I know. I should have. I know. I've failed in that regard to find out who it was.
Can we find out? Is it obviously they must know? Do you have to go to?
Let me make a note, and I'll try to find out who.
No, but can we go online and find out?
I don't even know.
Okay.
You could Google Nantucket Music Festival and see what's there.
All right.
Give that a try. Oh, you report back to me. How about that?
Yeah.
We also, the board approved a purchase and sale agreement with Remain for the sale of the Mooney Building at 22 Federal Street for $2.25 million. So that we've been talking about that for quite a while as well. So that was approved, and now we'll have a closing sometime soon. And
They're buying it?
Remain is buying that building, yes. What else? So those were the main things we did at our agenda last night. Next week, as I mentioned, we have a workshop meeting. We are going to be getting an quarterly update from our energy office. We are going to be meeting with the Capital Program Committee to review their report on fiscal 15 capital projects. We will get an update from the DPW director and SBPF as to the status of the Baxter Road erosion control project. And there was one more thing. Oh, the warrant articles again. We'll continue that discussion. So that's what's going on in town government. Should we talk about that other thing?
Oh yeah, Libby, you got to mention this to people.
Okay, this is painful.
Yeah.
Really painful. But if you drag yourself back in time to last Friday, when there was a snowstorm, I made a big mistake. And I didn't know it was a big mistake at the time, obviously. But what happened was we were predicted to have a fairly sizable snowstorm. So we started getting emails and phone calls in our office Thursday saying, oh, why don't you close Main Street for sledding? It's so great and it's fun and everybody's on vacation. And I thought to myself, that's a great idea. Let's do that. So I talked to DPW and I thought what they said was, sure, we can do that. But let's see how the snow all is before we actually do it. So Friday morning early, DPW and I talked about this, and I thought I heard concurrence that we were going to block off Main Street. To make a long story short, that did not happen. But not before I did a tweet to the entire world that Main Street would be closed for sledding. So many people got very excited about this, including a small child in my own household. Who has been reminding me about it daily. And so to make a long story short again, it turned out that people were not really being advised to be on the road because the roads were in the process of getting cleared. It was very windy and icy. And the police and DPW became concerned about people driving and about clearing the snow. And if we're trying to clear snow off streets, we don't need people parking on them, especially in the downtown area. And if you don't get the thing blocked off early, cars start driving on it, it becomes difficult for the sledding, and with cars already parked on Main Street. And the DPW is also saying that unless you've plowed Main Street before following a sledding event, it's very difficult. So it didn't happen. I had announced it to the world. So believe me, I know that people were unhappy because I heard from them.
Oh yeah.
In no uncertain terms, shall we say.
Would it be okay to assume then, Libby, that the next snowstorm we get?
Let us not assume anything at this time. If that is a possibility, I certainly will push for that, but I want to support the town departments as well. If they are saying it's not safe or for logistical reasons it can't work out. One of the things I did hear was, and this is, you think about this in the big perspective, and it's true, 10 or 20 years ago, 10 even, but more like longer ago than that. I certainly remember being in school when Main Street was closed from time to time for sledding, but that's back when the population was half what it is now. And, there just weren't as many obstacles back then. There were less cars, there were less people, it was not such a big deal. But it's a bigger deal now, and so. Now,
when you were sledding, did you sled on Orange Street down to Main Street?
I
That's
recall,
the best hill.
yes, I recall sledding from maybe about the St. Mary's Rectory down Orange onto Main and down as far as maybe the Pacific Line.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could actually take that turn, keep going?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got it.
Well, I mean, that's with Main Street closed and no cars on it.
That would be awesome.
Once cars are on there, it's out of. So we'll try, but I'm not like 100% optimistic about it. But don't lose hope. We'll see. But I'm certainly not going to make a big promise and have it dashed like it just was. So I'm very sorry about this. I know a lot of people were really disappointed. and I feel like a complete jerk, but sometimes these things happen.
They do. It's okay.
Anyway, so what else? What else? Are you hearing anything else?
No.
We're all about the budget and the town meeting and the sewer project. If you've been in the downtown area at all, is currently happening on Lower and Broad, right around this area. I don't think there's been any significant closures. They seem to be mostly working sort of off the street. There might be some parking issues, but I haven't seen too much closure lately. But check the town website to see. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks very much. See you next time.